balls, nuts even. We all started as nut, and today is the day that we remember that. Happy Father's Day. I wasn't going to do any videos today because I am honestly exhausted. My eyes are all bloodshot and I've been looking at screens way too much. But I saw a post, I forget where I saw it or which YouTuber posted it, like on one of those polls. It doesn't really fucking matter. What matters is that it was fucking retarded, because it was asking people who the best dad in video games are. And the winner, by far, was fucking Kratos. You know, the guy who fucking murdered his wife and daughter? Yeah, that guy. Best dad. And I figured that was like fucking bullshit. And a lot of good options weren't even on that poll. So I'm making a video right here. Not a top 10 list, not even a top 5 list. This is just a couple dads in video games that I think deserve recognition on this day, more so than any of those other guys that were on that list, and especially more than Kratos. So in no particular order, let's go ahead and get right on into it. So first up, we have Corvo Atano. Now, anyone that hasn't played Dishonored, or any of these games, mind you, this is going to be a major spoiler warning for Dishonored, for Resident Evil 8, for Red Dead Redemption, and for Silent Hill 1 and 3. Corvo Atano finds himself in a really sticky situation. He's in love with royalty, however he isn't royal blood. That being said, he is the royal protector, so he's the bodyguard to the princess who will then become empress. He falls in love with this woman and they have a child. They need to keep that in secret. However, Corvo doesn't let all of this political bullshit get in the way of actually raising and taking care of his daughter. We see him throughout many times in the game where, you know, Dishonored is a game where you do scummy things in scummy places to scummy people. However, Corvo, if you're playing, well, even if you're doing high chaos, whether you do low chaos or high chaos, whether you're murderous, whether you're merciful, Corvo will find and make time to hang around Emily and check in on her. Now, how good of an influence he is on her is up to you. However, this guy has a lot on his plate. He's going through a lot of suffering, having lost the person that he loves. However, he is still there for his daughter, and when given the opportunity to save her, he does not hesitate. So I feel for a man that has this much on his plate and this much of a difficult social situation with his love life, I mean, like, if it's complicated, could be summed up in a video game, it would be the relationship between Corvo and the Empress. But still, he's there as her father, and especially if you do a low chaos run, he really shows off how no matter what he's going through, he's always going to be there for Emily, and he really loves her. So let's give him some recognition on Father's Day. Happy Father's Day, Corvo. Next up, we have a character that was on the poll. However, he was like, out of like all the people that voted, only 8% voted for him, and that's Ethan Winters. I don't understand why a lot of people hate Ethan Winters' character. I'm not here to argue with everyone that doesn't like him. I'm sure you have your reasons for not liking him if you do. But if there's one thing you cannot knock this man for, it's loving his family. After the events of Resident Evil 7, where he goes through hell and high water to save his wife Mia, he deals with a turbulent situation, but he sticks by her during his recovery, being a dutiful husband. And when they have their daughter, Rose, he is a protective and loving father. The guy goes through a lot in Resident Evil, going to this strange village in Eastern Europe, dealing with this crazy witch that literally takes his daughter to pieces and puts her back together. Ethan goes through hell to get this baby back. And yes, he does have the regenerative ability, and you might think, oh yeah, Ethan can heal, so it doesn't matter if he's gotten his hand chopped off or lost fingers going after his daughter, because, you know, he's a lot tougher than the rest of us. But here, let me pose this. If you had Ethan's regeneration, and someone said, hey, for this person that you love, you need to deal with an entire week straight of me pulling out your fingernails repeatedly as they heal back, without any breaks, no sleeping, nothing like that. A lot of us would probably break. But not Ethan. He goes through life and limb, and literally gives his dying breath to dedicating his life to protecting his daughter. And for that, I want to recognize Ethan Winters. Happy Father's Day, Ethan. Now here comes another character that was also on the poll, and unlike Ethan, actually got a little bit of recognition, and he definitely deserves it. John Marston is perhaps one of the best examples of a man that cleans up his act and betters himself for his family. John Marston in Red Dead Redemption 2 isn't the John Marston we know and love in Red Dead Redemption 1, yet. And when we start playing as him towards the epilogue, we see how his violent behaviors and habits that he picked up while he was working in Dutch's gang still bleed into the life that he has with Abigail and Jack, and how that negatively affects them. So at one point, Abigail has enough and she just takes Jack and leaves. Now, a lesser man would probably start getting drunk or fall deeper into the habits that are destroying his life, but not John. John figures out how to take a loan out of a bank, something he's never done before, build a house, and set everything up in a way where he has a financially stable and sustainable home where he can start up a farm and take care of his family legitimately. And again, he goes through hell and high water, but he does get his wife and son back. And when he does, he becomes that John Marston that we know and love from Red Dead Redemption 1. He takes his wife out, he properly marries her and spends the time with her that he should have been spending all this time, and he makes sure to be there for Jack, taking him out, teaching him new things, and getting him adjusted to life on the farm. Even though John has a very hard time relating to Jack, as they, at least when Jack is younger, are very different, Jack being more of an introvert who likes to read and hide away, and John being the rough and tough cowboy we know, John still makes an effort. He shows that his son and his wife are the most important things in his life. He's a good husband and a good father. Because of that, we definitely got to give props to John Marston. Happy Father's Day, John. Now, I said that this was not going to be in any particular order, and for all the other people I just mentioned, that's true. However, there's one man in video games that deserves more recognition than all of these guys, one Thundercock Chad to rule them all. And that is Harry fucking Mason. Now, Harry Mason was living with his wife and they just happened to find a lost baby in a graveyard. They adopted it, they raised it. After his wife dies, Harry continues to raise his child on his own, but when they go to Silent Hill and there's a car crash and she gets lost and all this crazy stuff happens, Harry does not hesitate, nor does he lose focus, literally bringing up this kid in every single conversation, almost ignoring the fucking dangerous monsters and eldritch horrors that await him, and does what he has to do, and the first thing he says whenever he talks to people is, "Have you seen a little girl?" And the fans make fun of that, but I think this just shows how much of a good father he is. No matter what horrors you face him with, he is going to save his child, and he gets extra points because this is an adopted child. Now, I know that might upset people, and please don't misunderstand me. I'm not in any way trying to insinuate that the connection between an adopted child versus the loving connection that a parent might feel to a biological child, or somehow one's better or anything like that. But I'm just saying it is worth pointing out how, whereas a lot of people would attribute that kind of love to biological urges to preserve one's bloodline or just instinct that comes from becoming a parent, Harry doesn't need that natural push. He's just a good man who loves this child and will not let anything happen to her. And even at the end of the game, where that child gets fused with Alessa Giuseppe's other being, it's very complicated, but even when he doesn't get that actual child and just gets a reincarnation of said child, he does not hesitate to take that child and leave Silent Hill and raise that child into Heather Mason, who is just as much of a fucking thundercock as her dad. And that's why it's heartbreaking to see Harry die in Silent Hill 3. However, even after his death, depending on the ending you get, he continues to be a force for good within his daughter and pushes her to adopt her own identity rather than the identity the cult wanted her to take on. So, a good man through and through, and that is showcased through the love his daughter feels for him. So, happy Father's Day, Harry Mason. Now, before I end this video, I just want to give one more shout out to the greatest dad of all time, my own. I know he sometimes watches these videos, so just in case you're watching, I love you. Have a happy Father's Day. And to the rest of you that are fathers, I hope you had a fantastic Father's Day. This has been Pliskin. Over and out.